Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've covered the majority of this week's books. Now it's going to wrap things up with this week's, with the beginnings of the DC event Night Terrors. For the next couple months, most of DC's usual superhero books, Batman, Superman, so on and so forth, will be replaced with two-issue miniseries tying into the overall Night Terrors event. I will not be covering all of these, only certain ones. So let's get started. We're going to actually start things off with the Free Comic Book Day Night Terrors comic. I did not cover this on Free Comic Book Day because at the time, when Free Comic Book Day hit, this was still a good 2 months out. So yeah. Anyway, after Batman and Robin bring in both Firefly and Killer Moth, or take down both Firefly and Killer Moth, Damian returns home and ends up having a nightmare. It looks very convincing, but, well, yeah. He realizes he's dreaming and gets his way out. Whoever it is that's talking to, that's controlling his dream, however, states that the superheroes, they're bright and shining and loved by all on the outside, but on the inside they're all monsters, and they hid something from them. And once they find it, the superheroes will pay. Damian wakes up, still in the nightmare, and then wakes up again. Apparently, he passed out shortly after him and Batman took down or caught Firefly and Killer Moth. According to Killer Moth, or according to Firefly, they were worried about him. Even Firefly and Killer Moth were worried. And so, that's where this ends. An interesting start to things, and that actually does, that will be tying into one of the, not one of the minis, but the backup story in one of the minis. Moving on, though, to Night Terrors, #1. And yes, it's supposed to be a blacklight cover. I don't have a blacklight handy to see how it looks, but yeah. So, we begin. John D. is Dr. Destiny. Is in his dream world, but everything goes awry, and his dream wife and kids decompose before him, and he's suddenly in a nightmare version of the world and standing outside the Hall of Justice, trying to find his dream stone. But a voice asks, "Where is the nightmare stone?" We then move on to Deadman, who is hanging out in the cemetery like he normally does, thinking about his past, goes over his origins. But, something has Superman's attention, so Boston follows. Superman arrives at the Hall of Justice alongside Wonder Woman, who got the same message that something was awry at the Hall. Going deeper into the building, they find Batman. The Batman insists that once Nightwing chose to rebuild Titan's Tower in Bloodhaven, that the Hall of Justice should have been shut down, but Superman disagrees. While Wonder Woman states that apparently they had thought that maybe Batman had taken a day off, and well, what's a day off, right? Moving through the security systems, which are designed in a manner that only the Trinity can get through, they find what appears to be the body of Dr. Destiny. But dead man checking out the corpse while not, though not possessing anyone, so he can't actually pass along his findings to anybody, states that there's something different about this body. But it stated that the last time I saw John Dee, he was working with Deathstroke, and he was apprehended after in the aftermath of Dark Crisis, sent to Arkham Tower. But Batman gets a call from Harley. Apparently she was stopping by Arkham for a few medical supplies, and, well, there's a bit of a problem there with John Dee. But Batman says, yes, he escaped. I know, I'm looking at his body. However, Harley, like, his body? What are you talking about? John Dee's right here. He's having some kind of violent nightmare. Batman offers to head out. Dead man realizes whatever it is magic and possesses Batman to pass that along. But Batman retakes control and is not happy that Dead Man took over his body. The Trinity leave the Hall of Justice, and Waller gets a call that they've left. Batman and Dead Man arrive at Arkham Tower. Harley explains that apparently he doesn't know he's in a nightmare, and he keeps hollering for people not to fall asleep, and that if he finds the Nightmare Stone, it'll be the end of everything. Also adding his eyes before something seemingly kills him. However, John Dee's corpse has a message. John Dee was a smart man and hid the Nightmare Stone long ago in the dreams of his enemies. But something is possessing John Dee's body. That something reveals itself to be insomnia. Batman and Harley do what they can to deal with insomnia and the inmates of Arkham Tower. Meanwhile, Zatanna, Detective Chimp, and Wonder Woman are looking at John Dee's body. It is a construct, obviously. A very powerful dream construct. But something happens, and with insomnia's magical pulse, Detective Chimp and Wonder Woman fall asleep, though Zatanna remains awake. Superman is also affected, as is seemingly everyone else. Batman does what he can to fight it off, activating an emergency protocol, no sleep till Gotham. But even that's not enough. Batman finds himself inside a nightmare. Deadman possesses Batman's body once again, but insomnia spits it out. Manages to get him out of it. And manages to learn a bit about insomnia in the first place. And that is where the issue ends. Now, like I said, each of the books is going to be dealing with the normal DC books are going to be dealing with for this and next month will be tie-ins. So next up we've got Night Terror's Batman #1. This follows Batman's nightmare while he reflects on on his past. Apparently, at one point he put himself into a sensory deprivation tank, telling Alfred that he knows his fears and he knows how to keep others from using them against him. Tells Alfred to pull him out of 24 hours. But there's still one thing that always sticks with Batman: the death of his parents. Apparently, he says it'll never be over the night Joe Chill killed his parents. No matter how many times he witnesses it, nothing will ever take the pain of that night in Crime Alley Way, except the end of his mission here in Gotham. But Batman thinks that will come in handy someday. In the present, in Batman's nightmare, he's young Bruce Wayne, and with Dead Man controlling his body, well, Bruce can't retake control, can't wake up, but has to deal with dream versions of his mother's pearls, watching a film of what's going on, knowing that yes, Dead Man's got his body, but well, he still can't get out. He ends up in a graveyard, where all the graves are the people he loves: Dick, Jason, Tim, Damian, Talia, Jim and Barbara Gordon, Selena Kyle, Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown, Duke Thomas. And Insomnia appears wearing the classic Robin costume, and he's wanting to find the Nightmare Stone. And he raises the corpses of all of the Bat family in this dream graveyard, while Batman tries to stop it. Well, he basically pukes up a nightmare version of himself, which is a giant bat with a gun barrel in the middle of his head, which shoots young Bruce, which allows him, however, to metamorphose into a more nightmarish version of Batman. He ventures into a cave in the shape of a skull of his skull and the cowl, and ends up in Crime Alley as Joe Chill. Our backup story: Damian Wayne makes his way to a temple. He wants to learn how to control his dreams. The wise man guarding this temple explains that there are some challenges he must face first, and that within are scrolls that record the dreams record many a dream, including one that seems to have an image of Dead Man and Insomnia. Around the time that Damian's seeing this, he overhears his communist comes in with Batman activating the No Sleep Till Gotham protocol. The sleep wave hits, and Damien falls asleep, thinking though he can stay awake. Saying he remembers his nightmare, but he must find his father, and then insomnia will pay. And that is where the issue ends. Apparently, that story will be continued in Night Terrors number 3. 1 and 2 come out this month. 3 and 4 come out next month. Interesting start to things. Some thoughts to share about the overall event at the end of this video. So, moving on though to our next book, we've got. Wait. How did that happen? We've got Night Terrors, the Joker. So, what is the Clown Prince of Crime's worst nightmare? Well, he kills Batman. Not on purpose. Batman trips and smashes his face on a roof, and then his dead body slides off, or his body slides off a roof and, well, died on the ground. After a while, Joker and his gang are trying to figure out what to do. They killed Batman. What else is there to do? Where's the fun without Batman? So, 2 days later, they hijack a ship of uranium ore. And they're still bored. Well, Joker is at least. His gang is getting restless. And eventually, even Gaggy leaves him. But upon leaving, the help wanted part of the paper pops up in the Joker's lap. Apparently, Wayne Enterprise is looking for is hiring. The executive that hires Joker, in this case, using the alias Johann Kaiser, Mr. D, thinks that the Joker will be the perfect fit for the company. Getting onto his company computer, Joker puts in a search engine, wanting to know where all the money is. Invalid data request. Then secret weapons projects. Invalid data request. But yeah, basically, a normal life, a normal job. That is the Joker's worst nightmare. Eventually, Joker manages to crazy his way up, earning a promotion and going after Mr. D. Well, actually, Mr. D is doesn't seem to be fazed by Joker. But after celebrating a co-worker's birthday at a local pub, Johann is mugged by Gaggy and his new gang. When they realize they've mugged the Joker, well, they let him go, and Joker leaves him with advice to find someone that leaves Gaggy with the advice to find someone that gives him purpose. Don't sit around forever waiting for a man in a bat costume to assault you. What kind of life is that? People keep bringing up Batman is back out and about. Joker even sees the bat signal. But he goes home from work, sits down, and with the news on, and hanging in his closet is Batman's dead body. And that is where the issue ends. I mean, I'm not surprised that a normal life, especially a normal life without Batman at all, would be Joker's nightmare. Hell, even the idea that his worst dream is killing Batman. That's not that surprising, honestly. It's a means of writing Joker I've always enjoyed. The idea that he doesn't want to kill Batman, because what would he do for fun without Batman? Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Night Terror's Poison Ivy, number 1. So Ivy is back in Gotham. She has a play. She has a. She's got as a home as a hideout. She has a swamp, a place in Slaughter Swamp. But she dozes off, and when she wakes up, she's in pastel suburbia. It's Harley waiting for her. Harley's made pie. Apparently, it's much too nice to eat inside that day, and in fact, her neighbor agrees. Mr. Batfriend. Definitely too nice to eat inside. Even his wife Selena agrees on this. However, Janet from HR is also in this nightmare and runs into Oswald Cobblepot, going for a walk, and being a middle-aged guy wearing sandals with socks. Passes by Dick Grayson washing a car. Appears to be Riddler and Batgirl or sharing a two-seater bicycle. Riddler asks, "What is always too close for comfort and too far away for help?" A neighbor. Eventually, Janet finds Harley and Ivy's place, and Harley's kind of decided that, maybe since Harley's happy here, so maybe I should try and be happy as well. But Janet tries to snap Harley out of things, and Batfriend and Selena get a little distorted and appear to be dripping honey. When Harley and Ivy kiss and their lips part, there's also honey coming from Harley's mouth as well. And also spilling out from under the door of their home. Janet is trying to get away, but everyone else she's run into is caught up with her, and their mouths are all seemingly dripping honey. And that is where the issue ends. Okay, that was interesting. It's very strange. My opinion on the overall event is improving, at least thanks to the tie-ins. And moving on to our last book for the week, we've got Night Terror's Ravager. Ravager, Rose Wilson, is the daughter of Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, and currently is a member of Stormwatch. So in the Nightmare Realm, Rose sees her father dead. Maybe not necessarily Rose Wilson, but there are two monsters chasing her, who want her blood. Ravager pops up into the Nightmare Realm and saves the young girl from her monstrous assailants, and they have a moment to breathe and get to know one another. And Ravager gets the feeling that Rose is a younger version of her. And apparently, it was the Madisons that were killed in the beginning. But Rose explains that the murder man wants Rose because he wants out of the nightmare. He hates working for Insomnia and he wants out of there to the waking world, but he can't do it on his own. He needs a bridge to go there. However, the murder man attacks the neighbors, and so Rose opts to go help. And Ravager goes to help. and Rose stabs her, explaining that little Rose isn't the conduit that the murder man needs. Ravager is, as the murder man and his associate show up. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting. To be fair, I think I'm most curious with the story about Insomnia and their identity and who they are, what they're all about, aside from the Nightmare Zone, as well as the Nightmare Zone itself. Anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Big shout out to Patreon patron Xander Lee. Thank you so much for your patronage. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.